Welcome to Lynn's Warriors. We are joined today by Leah Stauffer, founder of 500,000 Kids, a nonprofit focused on transforming foster care in America. Her mission is bold and her mission is simple. Well, kind of simple.
Hmm.
We're going to talk about that. Leah's mission is placing every child eligible for adoption into a safe, permanent, loving home. Leah launched this work after starting a documentary. I want to hear about that on the foster care system,
Yeah.
then built a results based, three-phased plan that includes family recruitment campaigns, matching tech. We're going to get into that, and a bridge program to support caseworkers. You
Mhm.
know, my mind is just, as I'm introducing you, my mind is wandering. I got to focus now because so many things,
There's
Leah,
so
are just jumping
much.
into my mind. So forgive
Don't
me for
worry,
that.
I'll keep it
But no,
streamlined.
no, because I have like 50. I digress all over the place. But Leah has carried this message nationwide, highlighting how gaps in foster care can expose kids to risk and what communities can do right now to move children from temporary care to permanent places to live, to be safe. The foster care system is broken. We've known this for a long time. It
Mhm.
is a pipeline to human trafficking. We know this from our work with the Warriors. Leah and I met recently at the White House, a round table regarding human trafficking, and we just hit it off. And when I met Leah and she gave me her business card and I looked at the back of it, and it was like kind of music to my ears. I know that sounds strange because I want to talk about this issue of foster care and I don't hear a lot of talk about it. But the back of the business card of Leah said, 500,000 kids in foster care. US government spends 7 billion annually, yet numbers stay the same. I was horrified. I stopped in my high heels in the middle of Congress. I did that day, whatever was going on there. But we're going to really get into it. We're going to discuss it. We're going to kick off today. We're going to be looking at this. The website, everybody, is 500,000kids.org. Leah Stauffer, welcome to the Warriors.
Thank you, Lynn. And can I just say thank you for everything you do and for how much you truly, truly care. But you're not just talking about it, you really care about this issue. And I appreciate so much your understanding the role that the US foster care system and these children
Yeah.
that are on our watch what role they play in this trafficking conversation. Because when I started the charity, I was only focused on foster care until I learned the intersection with child sex trafficking. We expanded our mission. But thank you for having me and giving
Oh,
a platform and a voice to these kids.
well, I mean, Leah, thank you because you're the expert. You're going to
Eh,
teach us. You're no, because look, step one, it always sounds so simple, raise awareness with the public, but that's actually what we have to do. We have to
yeah,
start right there, letting them know like what's going on. I
yes.
cannot stand just, something's bad, something doesn't work, something's broken. Okay, we know these things kind of, right? But there are plenty of plugs, we can plug in the little holes. We can talk about it. We can educate people because I know our warriors out there want to learn about this and there's not a lot of discussion. So when I found you and met you, I don't know, you're my new twin. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, and if I can pick up on what you're saying, there's a precursor to a lot of causes are on the table already. So it's about educating them about more of the cause. What I found and why I went from starting with I was just going to do a documentary film to raise awareness. And then I opened the charity based on what I was finding out. But the whole thing was I would talk to my friends about foster care and no one knew anything. It
Yes.
just was like not a topic. And the real linchpin for me was when I was seeing more on pet adoption than child adoption.
Yes.
And I'm like, and I love animals. I mean, I'm feeding the squirrels and like I love animals, but it's not either or. Like I can love animals, but the children in our US project deserve a seat at the table. And being that they're never sort of out there as one of the cool causes. And I remember years ago hearing about Syrian refugees we were bringing into the country and foster kids were being displaced. And it's like, again, they got bumped. They're always getting bumped. And right now, they're getting bumped by our emphasis at the border children. And again, it's not either or, it's and both.
Yes.
We can care about the whether it's 350,000 or 500,000, however many children, that's horrifying. And we all care about those kids being trafficked over the border or going missing and all of that. But we don't get to ignore the US foster kids where more than 20,000 go missing a year. Like we don't get to just
It's
ignore that.
okay. Everything you're saying is like in my mind. Like,
Mhm.
because I have to just go back on something. One of the facts when I found out, Americans spend so much more money on
Mhm.
animals, on pets, cats, dogs. And again, I'm right with you. I love our cats and dogs and all our pets. But when I hear that, or I've had people, Leah, say to me, I'm not asking for donations or something. They'll hear me give a speech and they'll walk up to me and say, like, well, my cause is, animals. I give to animals after I've just given this heart-wrenching, human
Yes.
trafficking. Okay. But again, it's not, I like how you say it's not either or. I mean, these are precious kids.
Yeah.
I'll never understand it, but I'll let that one go for a second. I guess, what somebody said to me fairly recently, Leah, because it's easier. They said something like this to me. They walked up to me and said, it's easier to think about cute little pets than to think about the horrors of children. And I'm like, all the more reason we should.
Imagine how
I
the
wasn't
child
laughing at. Well, I wasn't
feels.
laughing at the time, but I'm like, kind of chuckling with you. I'm like, well, all the more reason.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're
Because
here tonight
imagine
to
how
hear
the,
about this kind of thing. But really, so this is something
no.
that just astonishes me on almost a daily basis when people really do. When I'm fighting to buy survivors, if they have children, a baby carriage, a baby stroller, and then dogs in New York, a lot of them are put in like little pet strollers. I know that, and I want them to have their pet strollers, but I get a little crazy.
Focus, people, focus.
No, but they have like matching blankets
Yeah.
and they have
Oh,
like a toy
I
bag.
can't. I
And
know. I
and
know.
I'm not saying we shouldn't do that,
And both, and both, and
but we're talking
both.
about human beings, children. So
Yeah.
we're on the same page
Yeah.
about that. But before we jump in, because there's
Yeah.
so much to discuss,
Yep.
tell us a little nugget about you, like where you grew up,
Oh,
anything you want to
me. Yeah.
share. Let's get in there. Who's
Yeah.
the real Leah?
Okay.
What
Okay. Oh,
give us something.
yes. Well, I think we can start with my birth story because I was in foster care for 4 months and I got adopted by an amazing family. So I'm very blessed that I've had a very good life. I think that's what caused me to pay attention to these statistics that I was seeing, though, as I aged, because it started to become clear to me the trajectory of my life could have gone very differently.
Yeah.
When I see that 50% of foster children who age out of the system end up homeless, incarcerated, with substance abuse issues, or government dependent, I'm like, wow, that could have been me. Like, thank God I was adopted, right? And other things, if you ask me the genesis of the charity, there's a match party story that also did the same thing. I was like so clear, like the trajectory of my life, I could have been one of those kids. So it got my attention on it. I was adopted by a great family. I lived in Connecticut till 8th grade, and then I moved with my dad and stepmom down to the suburban Philadelphia region. I had a great where I lived in Connecticut was a little more blue collar, and I had friends that lived in the projects, but it was all very normal. And then I moved to this part of Pennsylvania that's very affluent. And what I love about that is it's given me perspective. I'm glad I didn't just grow up in one or the other. I have some range on that. All the different things people experience. And then I went into corporate sales. I went to college in Pennsylvania at Westchester University, and then I went into corporate sales. I'm a natural entrepreneur, though. So at 30, I opened a business called the Learning Studio and had that for 5.5 years. And then I had a national dance program. So I know how to scale things, which relates to our plan that I'm sure you'll ask me about. But the pull towards foster care was always the more I learned, the more passionate I became and driven. And then a series of events happened back in 2015 where I was like, this is my life's purpose.
Yeah.
These kids, I started to not understand who's really in charge. I was like, who's in charge? Where's the 7 billion going? Why am
Yeah.
I showing up at a match party and their marketing budget's $2,500? Can someone connect? And the more I researched and looked into it, I could not figure out who's really in charge. Sure, HHS is in charge. Sure, Administration of Children and Families is in charge. Sure, every state is in charge. But seriously, who is stepping back and looking at what is our game plan to handle this? Like, who's that person? And I just couldn't find them. And so different things led me, and a faithful person, and I think it's a faith. I do think it's a I think I'm just being tasked with shepherding this mission forward.
You got a calling. I call it a calling.
Yeah, yeah,
Calling, like a
yeah.
nun. That's what I
Ah,
like.
although I don't want to be a nun, but
Well,
yeah,
I don't
nothing
want to be a
against
nun. I
nuns.
don't want to be a nun either,
But
but
yes, like that.
I mean, I grew up with nuns. I had a very good education, but I've
Mhm.
never been trafficked. I've never been
Yeah.
exploited, because that's the first question people ask me. They're like, "Why do you work in trafficking?" My background's all entertainment business, right?
Ah,
Music business. I started in the music business because I got a calling. I found this
yeah,
shocking and unacceptable. And then I
yeah.
figured 6 years ago, who's going to stop me? I'm going to brand myself an expert. Seriously. And I
You
just went
are.
out. I went out there. Now I am. But at the time, I just didn't know a thing. But I went with pure passion. Like, it's unacceptable that in
Yeah.
America, because, in entertainment, Leah, they would always over the years, and again, I knew domestic violence or I knew trafficking, but not really, right? We talked
Hmm.
much more about domestic violence in our country than we
Hmm.
ever talked about trafficking. It's relatively a newer thing, trafficking, but they always in entertainment would want to like raise money for other countries. It was always,
Hmm.
Thailand, Philippines, China, water wells. But when I got the calling 6 years ago, I'm like, we have to do that right here in our country. Like,
Yeah.
we have to take care of our own, and we're not. And I'm stuck now on that $7 billion. Like, I want to know where is the oversight, the transparency,
Hmm.
because I don't think it's that hard to bring everybody, if there was a system in place, a central reporting system, something where,
Yes.
because it's the same way for human trafficking. All these monies
Yes.
were sent out. Nobody was looking until now. Some people are looking, but
You
nobody
know
was
what's
looking for
missing?
years.
The organization. This is my skills. I have this particular gift. It's about architecting the solution. So people, everyone's doing, but there has, you wouldn't build a house without the architectural framework of how
Yes.
everything's going in to manage the general contractor. It's everyone's guiding light. That doesn't exist in these spaces. And it's such a
Oh,
critical foundational part. And I think that's part of why I was blessed to have this mission and this purpose, because I have this organizational architecting ability or brain that I can't help myself. I can see things that don't currently exist, but I see them as fully in place and
yeah.
functional. And I, for some reason, know how to manifest that, the steps to bring it into reality. Because, some people can only see what's in front, like what's physically here,
Yes.
but I can see what needs to exist. I don't know why, but I can. And
Because
it's
you
usually
can,
pretty clear.
because that is exactly, Leah, what we need. I call it plugging in the holes. Like, we have solutions, right?
Yes.
You just laid it out. Are they trying to get you to go and work in Washington or anything like that? No.
Not so far. Maybe after your interview with me.
No, no, because because we need you. Because we
Yeah,
no, but we
thanks.
need
Mm.
somebody that really can see beyond just the slapping of the band-aid, I like to say. Like, we know all this already. We got to get in there. There are good people doing things. Everybody needs to have a job. But I say that, Leah, a lot of people, and this is not being like a Debbie Downer, I thought when I started all of this, people would naturally want to collaborate, share, kids, right? And then I found out, because I'm a sharer, I like to share,
Yeah, me too. Me too.
talk, get to know.
Yeah.
Like, how do I get educated? I get educated from you. I'm not an expert in foster care, but now you're stuck with
More
me.
than
Okay. So,
yeah.
but I
Love
have
it.
to, but that's the thing, because this. I can't do my job unless I know information and facts to share with the public. But then I found out, Leah, like, a lot of people do not want to collaborate. Or the other thing is, you are absolutely very passionate. Like, I knew that from the minute I met you. People lack the passion, and I don't want to hear they get burned out. Then you can't do this work. I know that sounds a little hard, but like, passion. And
the
I call them kind of like
the
nine to
issue
fivers,
drives.
like
Yeah.
you can't be like that. And I see a
No,
lot of that.
the problem drives. But I will say I'm blessed with a clear solution. And again, on the one hand, I feel like it got downloaded, but it's also because I was able to extract from research experiences and interviews, like I said, I started doing a documentary. So I was, for some reason, I was able to grab all the pieces, and it came into a very clear three-phase plan. So I'm blessed to be driven because I have a solution. And I
Yeah.
know a lot of organizations are clear on the issue, but they might not have a solution because we're dealing with a daunting
Yeah.
situation. It's not so easy. Like, I'm just blessed that we have a solution. It's not like I'm a rocket scientist and figured it out. I really feel my skill set was able to identify what was being put in front of me, and I was able to architect it. And and so when you're talking collective impact work, which is what you're saying about all of these organizations, all of us coming together and doing this work, again, someone has to step and architect how we're all working together. So again, it's the same point. The organizational architecting, it, in my opinion, even big companies, it's a lot of times it's missing from the equation, which is going to impact outcomes. And I think people then are fighting, not meaning to. We all want each other to win, but people get into like they're in a power struggle for success, influence, money.
Yeah.
And so they're wanting to work together, but they kind of have to compete. And we can design that differently.
Yeah. And as you're talking, I want HHS to put on a presentation that you give. And
Gabe,
I'm just deciding for them, or whole government
thank
I'm
you.
deciding for.
Thank you.
No, because what you're saying is exactly what is needed. And what you're
It
also
is.
saying is kind of infectious. Do you know what I mean by that? It's
Mm,
like, oh, so somebody does have a solution or the next steps, because like you said, sometimes they only see right in front of them, or they're fighting for that dollar. It's always about money. Let's be real. It's always about the resources, man or woman power type of thing. But if we hand it to them, that will make them, feel so good about it. So you have to do a presentation. So I'll take care of that. Well,
Thank you.
we,
Thank you. You're my publicist. But you know what it is too? It's what I'm so excited about is, so we have two aspects to our solution. We need the government to clear the runway so we can get it done.
yes,
And we have an interesting opportunity with this administration because they're very solution oriented. They're all ears for, okay, what are you up to? They have an appetite for solutions. And so I'm very hopeful, but I'm also keenly aware that we're losing daylight because I don't know what's going to happen after this administration. I don't even know, even if JD Vance, Marco Rubio, whoever go, I don't know if they're going to have the strength and the courage it takes to actually transform systems. And that's what's needed. And I'm literally sitting here with the solution. I feel we're meeting all the right people to make it happen. But again, so pull the trigger and let me go and just
right.
let me get this done.
No.
And so that's still a little bit of a thing, although I have many advocates, and maybe you're going to be added to the list, but I have many people advocating to like clear that runway so we can just get it done on this administration's watch.
No, we have to. We have we which is why I started basically with day one with the administration, where there was, an open door, because I really couldn't, we talk about this isn't even about politics, and it's not. It should be bipartisan work, right? Because that's what we're always saying, bipartisan legislation coming together. But in the last administration, I just wasn't really welcome. Nobody wanted to hear from me. So I gotta
Same. I
go. I
feel the
gotta
same.
go. We have to
Where
go like where we're welcome,
where
right?
there's
And so now we're
listening. Yeah.
welcome,
Yeah.
right? I would have gone in the last administration if somebody said, come on, meet with me. Nobody did.
Yeah.
So I also feel like I always have to sort of explain that to people, because I work with Republicans, I work with Democrats, I work with whoever is doing the work and can get it done. We have to do this now. We have to put this in motion now. And I'm not even talking
Exactly.
2 years from now. I'm talking now. And that is the urgency, so that whatever happens in
Yeah.
the next, we don't know what will happen after this administration. We have
And
something, planted.
do share with people, it's like, politics aside, this is children.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell people that if they want to bring politics, but like I've gotten more done in the first, I was saying 6 months, and now we're 8 months and beyond, but in the first 6 months of this administration, I got more done than in 5 years. And so that's why I'm hopeful. But I know we're losing daylight. And so we've got to get moving on the doing this, because I've shared the solutions. And I'm not just trying to say like, oh, I'm the only one with the solution, but our particular solution is twofold, and it really will critically, we're talking about getting 45% of foster children out of the system into safe, loving homes. That people will
Okay, now
hear
start
that and
explaining.
think I'm
I want you
crazy.
to start
Yeah.
explaining about um oh,
How
I
I'm
have so many
making such a
questions for
bold
you.
claim.
Well, no, I was gonna go back and just go back a little bit and say, like, because I heard you say, I was listening to something, 60% of kids basically through child welfare system are exploited or something like that. And I've
Uh,
also on my own, just with the work I do, have heard different stories. Again, you are the expert. I know you have the stats and studies, and that is so shocking to me. And if it's 60%, it could be 80% because the stats are always wrong. It's always higher, right? We don't get full reports. It's kind of hidden, a lot of
correct.
these things. If you want to
Correct.
touch upon that, but then I really want to go into what you're doing, right? You've got the three
Hmm.
pronged, you've got the tech. People
Hmm.
have to know there is a solution out there so we can get them on board and get this going like yesterday. So the floor is yours. I'm throwing a lot at you,
Thank
but
you. No, no, no. I made a little note so I don't forget. So the stat you're talking about, and this is really important. There's two stats that connect this. When I started, I was focused on, 500,000 kids dedicated to foster children. Now we are 500,000 kids dedicated to foster and trafficked children, because I came to understand this intersection. I
Mhm.
did not realize. And the US foster care system is a major pipeline for child sex traffickers. And I hope this isn't offensive to your audience. I apologize in
Well,
advance.
we'll just say we're putting out a warning. That's good enough, whatever it may.
Warning, warning, warning. This is going to be
No, but
shocking.
we
But
listen, Leah, we have to be real too. We have to be real and tell everybody what's going on. So go ahead.
when I say child sex trafficking, I've started to flip and go, I don't know why that's hard for people to even hear child sex trafficking,
Yes.
but the real word is rape. Children are being raped. And people aren't even able to absorb child sex trafficking. I can't really run around talking about, US foster kids are being raped, but they're underage, they're children,
Yeah.
and they're being trafficked, raped. So sorry, audience, but that's the truth of it. And that's happening on all of our watch. Um, Nelson Mandela has, and we'll go back to the stat, but I do want to insert this here. Nelson Mandela has a great quote. And by the way, he's adopted. So this
Oh,
like an
okay.
extra bonus of my intern told me that once. Like, oh, did you know the quote you use? He's adopted. I'm like, oh, wow. The quote
Wow.
is, there can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children. And I am here to report we are failing. Our soul as a society is not well, because we are failing these children. So that stat you're talking about is 60% of children that the CSEC reports. CSEC is commercial sexual exploitation of children. 60% of the children that are rescued are coming out of the child welfare system. So now you take the stat of more than 20,000 foster children going missing a year. And that's based on the numbers they have, because I really want to make this point. I do want to mention about the data, because it's much more than 20,000 going missing, because we're working off poor numbers in the first place. And I'll
Yeah.
share why that is, and not why, but that is true in a minute. But if 20,000, let's just say it's 20,000 are going missing, that means in 5 years, 100,000 kids are going missing. So when we're talking about the border kids, I get it. And that's important, like I said earlier, but these kids matter too. And they're in our neighborhoods, they're in our yards. It's 55 kids a day going missing at minimum. And so what does that mean when you take the 60% coming out of child welfare and 20,000 foster kids a year going missing? One could tie that together and say it is a major pipeline for child sex
But this is a
traffickers.
national crisis. I mean, this really is
Crisis.
an
Crisis.
American crisis happening right in front of us. I feel sick now, but continue because I'm so
Sorry.
upset about
And
this.
And you know what? I wrote an article which I really need to get published. It's on, I think I told you at the beginning about the Syrian refugees were coming in, and
Right.
everyone rallies around the next group cause, whatever's hot right now. But meanwhile, decade after decade, these U.S. foster kids are just sitting there waiting, you know. And I wrote an article. How about our American refugees? And that's what it's titled, American Refugees. That's these foster kids. We have
That's
American refugees right in this country. And um, not to be, don't get mad at me, anyone in the administration, I need your help.
no, they won't
But
get mad at us because we speak truth and they want truth. So we speak truth.
I don't want to hear about America first if we're not including the US foster kids. Like literally, I don't even
Thank
want to hear
you.
about it.
Because every day I
So,
say to my husband, what happened to America first? Like,
and I'm so like hyper focused on US foster care, but I'm like, we can care about the border, but you don't get to leave these kids out of the conversation. And I go into a lot of rooms where I will say the trafficking community are the ones that are the most engaged around the adoption foster care space. For some reason, the adoption foster care community isn't as mobilized, but the traffic community is very mobilized right now. And I really appreciate so many of the leaders in that space understanding this connection with foster care and understanding that our solution of permanency and getting kids adopted,
mm,
getting kids in kinship care, all the safe, loving home opportunities that exist by getting them there, it's prevention. Adoption is prevention. Let's not always be talking about rescuing children from being trafficked and all the things and organizations that have to happen after a child is rescued. Important, need to do that. That's the now. But let's also include a conversation about prevention because
yeah.
could we create a world where we're not always rescuing kids? Can we not have them trafficked in the first place? Is that possible? Can we move towards that? And that's what I'm screaming from the rooftops. And our two areas of focus directly hit the solutions around prevention. So that's it. That's what I have to. But I'd love to share my solution, but I don't want to just keep rattling on and on because I
No,
could talk for
I want you
hours
to
about
rattle on
this.
because, but everything you say,
Okay.
it brings me to another 10 questions
Yes.
because here's the thing. I'm agreeing with everything you're saying. It's, it's that bigger picture of why are these kids even in, foster care? And then that's where like nobody wants to go, to
Yeah.
at all. I go back to that same old thing like a broken record, lots of slapping on of the band-aid all over. But
Yeah.
how are we intervening and preventing so we can plug it up? And that's the part. And I think we're
Yeah.
talking about the
Because,
same thing here.
and it
Is
goes
so
back,
urgent.
it is there, and it goes back to what you were identifying and what I was saying. And I appreciate so much how quick you were, such a quick study. But it goes back to because no one's architected a solution that's literally solution, not what's happening is the system is being maintained.
Well, that's no good.
So
We can't.
it's
That goes
no
with
good.
trafficking too. It was about maintaining as opposed to
Yeah.
it's exactly what you're talking about. I was talking about with trafficking. You
Yes.
know,
Exactly.
and also, I mean, I'm still stuck on $7 billion. Can you imagine if
Well,
I handed you $2 billion, what you could do with it?
yeah. If you saw our budget and what it's going to take to get our solution in, it's ridiculous. So that's another reason I'm like, oh, we got to move. But let me just share our roadmap because I want people to really understand. When you said at the beginning, it's bold, but it's simple. It's simple because this is not actually complicated. What I'm about to share. It's bold, but it's not complicated if the runway was clear and we could
That's what I meant
do
by
it.
simple. Like you have the
Yeah,
answers,
yeah.
so that's
And
simple. That's what
yeah,
I meant.
it's and I do think it's simple. It's very straightforward. So we have a roadmap, and the genesis of this came from a match party I attended and some subsequent research I did and reading annual reports and interviewing. I think I mentioned I started doing just a documentary film to raise awareness that these kids exist. And I interviewed a woman who was head of the National Adoption Center, and she invited me to a match party. And she said, what's a match party? Does she know I'm single? Because I'm like, wait, we're talking about fostering now. So I go to this match party, and what it is, it's designed as a fun day out for older youth, kids 13 and above, who are eligible for adoption. So for those who don't know, that terminology means the courts have terminated the parental rights for those kids. So we're not talking about reunification. This is not bucking reunification with the birth family. We're all for reunification. But if there's approximately 25% of foster children who the parental rights are terminated by the courts. They're never going home. Those are the kids that end up aging out of the system. So I'm going, well, wait, if 25% of these kids are eligible for adoption, why aren't they adopted? Or any other permanency outcome that gets them in a safe, loving home. So, I went to this match party, and it was 18 children, older youth, like I said, eligible for adoption. And it was supposed to be 10 families who were approved, and it's a fun day out for them to interact with the kids. And if they're interested in one of the kids, they should go like play. It was at a game center, so it's like, here's some tokens, go play with the kid if you're interested. And she said, you can't film, but you can take notes. So I'm like, what if you're the child or the youth that nobody plays with? Like, nobody's interested in?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, this is, for me, it was like very hard. This is when I say, oh, I'm so lucky I got adopted and I don't have to sustain that. And 5 families showed up. So now you have 18 kids vying for, choose me, like pick me to be adopted. I'm like, on what planet are the social workers feeling this is good for these kids? Anyway, no judgment. In fairness to the social workers and caseworkers, they're doing the best with the system they're handed. But what it did at the end of this match party, when everyone got back in the room together, the kids, the social workers, the families, they had gift bags, and they called the kids up one by one. And I'll give you a real live example. Nadir, come get your gift bag. Comes up, standing there. They start reading from the booklet as he's standing there. Nadir's 14. He's kind of shy at first, but he loves cats and dogs. And once he opens up, he's really funny and he wants to be a boxer one day. And everybody's clapping. And I'm like, if I'm him, I'm dying. Now, I don't want to
I
project,
would be
but
horrified.
yeah. I got in the car, called my dad. I said, thank you for adopting me. I could
Oh,
never have sustained that. And I was teary because I was trying to hold it together during the thing, because it was actually pretty. Oh, I can't imagine how these kids feel.
it's traumatized. It's
And
complete trauma. It's
more
complete trauma.
trauma. I'm like, what is going on?
More
And
trauma on top of trauma.
more
That's what
trauma.
it is.
I know. And I said, my dad said it sounded like, that sounds like a slave auction. I'm like, it literally felt like
I was
that,
going to say
Dad.
it sounds like trafficking to me in a different, on kind of a
Yeah.
different level a little bit. It's kind of
Yeah.
auctioning the kids off, right?
So that experience got me asking a gazillion questions. And I was reading the Anna report of that organization, and I noticed that and this is the birth of our three-phase plan, I noticed that they had, out of 158 children that year, 15 had gotten adopted. Okay, corporate. I mean, you don't even need corporate for this. That's 10% conversion, right? But then there was a media campaign they did when they raised awareness through multimedia. Of 61 children, 26 were adopted. I'm like, well, that's a
Mm,
26%. So why are you doing match parties when you're getting a better
yes.
return on your investment here? Do more of that. Oh, and by the way, I could see, and maybe focus the campaign slightly different. So hence our phase one was born, which is, these kids need an awareness and recruitment campaign. We need to attract more families, because why are there only 5 families here when, to your point, if we're spending $7 billion, can someone connect the dot for me of why there's a $2,500 marketing budget to get families at that event? And why do we have 5 families? The anecdotal information around how many families does it take to place one child was 15 to 20. If you go try to find that data, if someone finds it, please send it to me, because I've looked and I can't find it. But the social
Mhm.
workers will tell you 15 to 20 families to place one child. Therefore, you would have needed to have 360 families at that match
Mhm.
party to even have a shot at getting these kids. But again, started to go, wait a minute. People are getting married on dating. Why are we doing match parties? This is an antiquated way to
Yes.
match children with families. And hence, our tech solution was born with the matching component. It has since evolved into a broader solution because I came to understand what's happening at a federal level. And I could go on about tech, but just suffice to say, The first part of our solution is around this technology. We are dealing with a broken system that's overwhelmed. We are dealing with caseworkers who will have a caseload of, say, 30 when it should be 10 to 12. They can't even get to the matching part because they're triaging all day, every day. So I have a lot of compassion for the caseworkers and social
Yeah.
workers. They're dealing with the system they've been handed. And again, who's stepping back and saying, this isn't working? Here's how to re architect it. And you can do it with a combination of the technology that we're creating and then our roadmap, which is this three-phase plan that was born out of that original match party experience and subsequent research. And like I said, spiritually, what I feel is like a download of clarity around what to do. So here it is. One is the awareness and recruitment campaign. Two is the technology so that when you bring thousands of interested parties into a system that can't handle the incoming right now, because you've supplied technology underneath, they can handle the incoming. So the tech is key. As a matter of fact, it's become first, then we run the campaign. So my phase 1 and 2 got flipped because I realized I
Yeah.
can't run a national campaign or a campaign at all if the system is just going to not call people back in. So we need to get the support in for the caseworkers and social workers. So tech, awareness and recruitment campaign. And then the third phase is revolutionize the group home setting. There's no reason when a child comes into foster care, they should be in a detention center because there's no housing. And there's an amazing model we've identified here in our pilot region of Philadelphia. It's 3 homes. It's a house parent model with 8 older youth in each home and 2 house parents. And it's great. They've served over 200 kids successfully. It's a beautiful model, great school district. It's governor endorsed. They've won awards and state licensed. It's a great program. So our phase 3 is scaling that model. So how I get to this big, bold claim of, because I'm not joking, we can get 45% of children in foster care out of the system, which anybody running the system is going to be like, she sounds crazy. But it's true, because if we can get 25% of children in safe permanent homes and another 20% populated into the being beautiful model that we're talking about in our phase 3, that's 45% of kids. So some might say, well, how are you going to get 25% of kids adopted if no one's done it in decades? Well, here's how. We have a pilot region here in Philadelphia where we will run our awareness recruitment campaign. The tech needs to go in,
Yeah.
which some of that has to happen at a federal level and some of it can stay at the state level. When that's in place and we run our campaign in our pilot region, we will be able to show outcomes of children getting permanent outcomes through adoption and other permanency outcomes. Once we're tracking statistically solidly upward on, and we're scaling the house parent model all in our Philadelphia pilot region, it's a 5-county region. It represents a third of the children in the state of Pennsylvania. The way to scale this is we will then, proof of concept, run a national campaign, celebrity driven. I have a secret desire for our first lady to be the voice to attract, who better than our first lady to get 45% of our children in safe, loving homes. So that's my secret desire, that she is part of that campaign to attract leaders in other cities to replicate our results.
Yeah.
And that's the roadmap to getting the first 25% combined with the other 20% out of the system. None of it happens without the technology. It's not I just don't see how it's possible if we don't modernize. So
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
I'll
my
take a
goodness.
break because it's a lot. I
No,
know.
no, but we live in a world of technology now. So we have to embrace that, right? Because with trafficking, with exploitation, with kids, there's a lot of bad stuff and we're focused, on educating, but there's also an amazing, really good part of technology that, we have programs developed already that can really get in there and root out these predators, which would take so much, physical, so many people to actually do it, or law enforcement that gets so burned
Hmm.
out, right? So I'm trying to really say there's such good things happening with technology. We have to, turn it and keep promoting the good of, we're very scared of AI, the artificial intelligence. But we
It's
know
helpful
there's
in
a
this
lot
instance.
of good things, though,
Mhm.
for this. Again, I go back to we have an American crisis: foster care, children mental health, education, children, everything.
Mhm.
We have to do, I can't reinforce this enough. It has to be done now. We can't wait. We can't keep talking about it. I actually talk like this all the time. People just stare at me, Leah. And no, but I'm like, we have to do
What
it
is
now.
this?
We have to do it now because we don't have time. No, because you know what? The
True.
studies are all, and the studies are usually, well, I'll just talk about trafficking because I know this like the back of my hand, but they're always old. Somebody gave me a study
Yeah.
recently. They're like, oh, it's from 2019. I'm like, 2019 before COVID. I can't possibly even reference that because throw it in the garbage can. It's like, that's embarrassing. So that's
Okay.
another thing. Like, we've got to have
You're
up to date information.
well, now this is the bigger reason why our technology went from, just being a resource for caseworkers to match families and kids to like, "Oh, no, 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 that's just like in the surface." To your point, you're looking at outdated data on studies. Here's something horrifying. And again, I'm sorry, the people who need to make these decisions to help us are, it sound like I'm saying they did something wrong, but it's a new
I think,
administration, so it's not your fault. But here's the thing, the
yeah,
data, it's not even about this, the research reports, the actual data that's being used, it's coming out of HHS, of Administration of Children and Families.
yeah,
It's 2023 data. So I say 500,000 kids, right? That's the name of our organization. You go in right now, you look at the ours report, it'll say 360,000 children. And everyone's very proud of themselves for getting those numbers down. But if you actually read footnote number 3 on report number 30, which is the year before the current, so it's actually 22 data, it says, now it's a footnote. So I get people don't read footnotes. I get it. But I was preparing something, so I was reading the footnotes and I knew the numbers were. This number does not include children 16 and above with the goal of emancipation. I'm like, well, I bet there's a lot of 16-year-old foster kids that have a goal of emancipation. And by the way, they have a goal. They're not emancipated. So why are we not counting them? I
yes,
don't
I don't get it.
understand. Then this current year's report, which isn't our current year, it's the 2023 data. They removed the 16-year-old part. Now it's any child with a goal of emancipation. So that means we can add 14 and 15 and 13-year-olds into that. And so I guess numbers would improve. Here's another thing that's not included. There's something called hidden foster care. Hidden foster care is something that, and there's an investigative report, which I should send you, that Philadelphia Inquirer did recently in April. There's hearings going on about this. A child died, and so this whole report went down. But hidden foster care, I didn't even know, and I'm in this space, and then I learned, God, I can't. A DHS worker will go to a family and say, "Hey, we need to remove your child for foster care, but it's really hard to get your child back if they're in foster care. So we don't want to adjudicate this and have them be officially in foster care. We're going to create a family safety plan, and your child will temporarily be with whoever they put them with." Again, gee, I wonder where trafficking's at. But anyway, not saying that's every case, but those children, those numbers are not in the counts. There's a Stanford article out that estimates there's another 250,000 children in hidden foster care. I want to lose my mind that, I'm sorry, HHS,
This is
congratulating yourselves
unacceptable.
on
This
the
is
improved
unacceptable.
numbers when you're not counting the kids. It is not only unacceptable. So, a good news, everyone, good news flash. The good news flash is with our tech, it's real time data. Right now, everybody knows if you and I go on a Google Meet or a Google Doc and I change a period to a question mark, you're going to see it real time. Data can exist real time. There is no need for 2-year-old data. Real time data can exist. We no longer need reporting. All you need to do is get this tech in so that when you pull up anything you want to pull up, it's real time data. We know right
Wow.
now how many kids are coming in today and where they are. There is not a college campus in this country where they do not know where every single child on that campus is living, where they are for the summer. So no one is going to tell me we cannot keep track of kids. It's such BS, and I'm over it. And we need to get this tech in. There's a federal component that will not take away the state's autonomy to run their programs. It doesn't have to affect their funding. So there doesn't need to be any state pushback, but there is an element we need at a federal level. I call it a federal repository of numbers that pre-populate out so
Yeah.
that there doesn't need to be reporting done manually, 2-year-old data.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. And this is not a hard tech. We have an amazing team to get this done. We actually want to do it with the government so they can
Yes.
own the whole thing. Like, it doesn't have to be. And when we get that in, the whole game changes, and it changes for trafficking too.
Yes.
Because the same sequencing, we've created this HMK interactive sys. It's a sequencing number that we created, and it can apply to trafficking as well. So we can get a handle on this, which is why I say, government, clear the runway. Just let me have at it. Like, can we just get this done? Because this is not complicated. And I'm over all the meetings. And
well, don't get me started. I mean, because listen, I'll go anywhere. My big old face is welcome, my big old face, but I'm tired of conferences. I'm tired of summits. I'm tired of roundtables, to be honest with you. Because
do it.
No, because we just have to do it now. Because everything, as far as we know, is escalating, right? It's like it's not getting better. We also just saw this may be considered a little political. I don't even know anymore. It all kind of, I'm seeing all these big tech people sit in the White House the other night having dinner with the president. We have solutions. We know. I don't understand not plugging them in. I'll just put it that way. Let's leverage it all. So that's the part that really that's what's eating at me. That these people are all at the table, right?
Yep.
They were at the inauguration. I'll go back that far. They were at the table the other night.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, as you and me are talking, another 20 children were trafficked.
But here's the thing, in fairness to them, they're not on the ground. So here's my one fear. These big tech companies, great, because I could care less who does the coding. We can do the coding, but we don't have to do the coding. But I need to make sure that this numbering thing I'm talking about gets included, because those big tech companies aren't on the ground. So I don't know that they're, they could design the best system ever in 2 seconds flat, right? But if they don't understand what's going on with caseworkers or what's going on with families and the breakdowns, they may not build it in correctly. So whoever
that's where we need you. That's where we need you, your team, whatever, the warriors. I'm not kidding, to go in there. Because this is kind of from the bottom. It's like the bottom up. I usually like to say top down. I'm saying from this, it's really bottom. It's like the boots on the ground.
Yes.
And look, I have friends in these companies here in New York. They all have thousands upon thousands of employees. Meta and Google and everything that I'm familiar with here in the city. Like, so let's get teams together to start that. They have that manpower. I'll throw in woman power so nobody yells at me too. Man and woman power. Kind of thing, because I don't expect Mark Zuckerberg, his track records, none of them are very good with any of this tech stuff, but it's part of our lives now, right?
Yeah.
And our kids, our future adults, our future American leaders, and we're really doing such a disservice. I know you understand this. We speak the same language.
Mm-hmm.
This is the part I don't understand. This is a question. I don't even know how you're going to answer it, but I'm going to ask you. Because I keep thinking about $7 billion. What could be done with $7 billion? No, but even like trafficking, our whole thing is like, we don't have safe spaces, safe houses, like places to put people. Kids, we don't. It's not that we want to even build these houses or have them. It's about getting into why somebody ended up there, or we have to put them there, going back to intervening and prevention. But why do you think, whether it's trafficking, I'll leave domestic violence because that intersects with a lot of this too. Kids in foster care, trafficking. I'll leave that out though for a second. Why do you think this is allowed? Because if you and I can clearly see this, and others, I
Want to
would think.
be, yeah, I want to be judicious or graceful about this. I'd like to believe it's because people don't have a clear solution in mind. I know there's also a lot of incentives around the funding and all of that. And so that's broken. And so another thing, not to keep pitching tech, but the other thing having real-time data does is it allows you to create new outcome-based money flows that are, you have transparency, you have measurement, you have accountability, and you can literally start compensating and giving funding based on real data. And that, but if people don't know, even like I said, even if you build the best tech in the world, if you're not tying it to the problems and the breakdowns, and there, unless you're at the grassroots, you're not knowing the breakdowns. Let me give you an example so people understand what I'm talking about. And you don't, this stuff isn't published anywhere. It's not like I picked up a book and read it. It's years of anecdotal and picking up pieces and noticing, oh, that's an out point, that's an out point, that's an out point. So it occurred to me, because adoptions, like, why interstate adoption is fine. When I started to realize that Pennsylvania has a PAE and a number for a child, their pay number, then I realized Ohio has a whole different numbering system. And I was like, oh, wait. Those systems don't talk. So a child in Pittsburgh could be 2 hours from who should be their forever family in Ohio, and they'll never find each other. I'm like, oh my gosh, this
Well,
is so obvious.
they
This
don't
is,
they don't. You're telling me
no, we're,
now in 2025 there's no intersection? There's no
I am
there's
telling
no
you, that's why our
I
tech,
don't believe
that's why
you.
we're building. I know it's hard to believe. I
I
know.
no,
I
but
know. I almost don't believe me, but
because
it's
so
true.
many more kids could have a home if
You know, and that's the good news, because we're building this. We have this framed out. We have this ready. The Pennsylvania alone, sorry, PA, because I need them to be cooperative too. So I hate to call people out like this, but again, people are doing the best they can. If you're not an architect brain, you're not stepping back enough to be like, wait, what's the solution? Okay, so
Mhm.
that always has to be part of it. But there's 4 different systems being used in Pennsylvania. That's ridiculous. Let alone it's not connected to the federal. So people are reporting. That's why the data's old, because of the way the reporting goes in. This is insanity. We have real-time
Hmm.
abilities with tech. And that, when that Ohio, the numbering system occurred to me, what needs to happen is we need a federal repository to dole out sequential numbers. So when a caseworker pulls up their computer and types in Johnny Smith coming in, it pre-populates with all of these indicators, which I've designed it already. All the, our social security number, mean each number in our social security number means something. It's an indicator of something. So I've designed a system, a numbering system, that is the all the indicators that are needed to do all kinds of things that are systemically, will transform things. So that's why whoever codes this, I don't care if it's, I mean, my dream is to work with Doge, because they're already in the government
I was thinking that.
identifying the money
I
levers.
was thinking
And
that.
if I could just give them this interactive system so they can code, ACF can be the hero, HHS can be the hero of the story, and have this amazing transformative system that also then ties to the money flows and the whole thing. That we have a whole beautiful opportunity here. Just want to make sure that this one piece I'm talking about with the numbering is included in whatever gets designed, or my team can design it. So we have that skill set amongst us, but I'm not attached to that part. I'm not trying to be a tech company, just trying to get kids' lives saved. And there's, if we have an opportunity to get 45% of children out of foster care into safe, loving homes and blunt one of the major pipelines of child sex traffickers, I'm sorry, we're waiting on what? Like a decision maker to say go, green light, go. Like I
Right.
feel like there's 2 people that if I could get in front of, I feel like it's done. And we won't include President Trump in the story, because that's, I know, a long shot. But here's the 2 people. Earth K Jr. will get this in 2 seconds flat, because it's, first of all, it's this responsibility. So here, this is your responsibility. Here you go. Do this. The other person who I find to be quite brilliant is Stephen Miller. The way his brain works,
I love
he
him.
will get it in 2 seconds flat. So I feel like the people I need to be talking to are the people who get it so quickly that they're like, oh no, we have to do this, where I'm not pitching it up the chain, because at that point, the administration will be gone and kids are going to be going missing every day still.
We're gonna have to
Sorry,
work.
I get
No,
crazy about this.
no,
I
no, no, no,
know.
no, 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 no. We have to, because as you talk, I start like brainstorming in my own brain, like thinking. My
I
wheels are
know.
kind of turning, but you're very close. Like I feel it. You're like there. It just has to go over that next line. But you know what I
Yes.
want to touch upon? I like when you say the architect. That I'm going to steal that whole word. I'm going to give
Yeah.
you credit for it though. Like
Organization.
we have to
Okay,
be
that's great.
architects, like architects of I
Solutions.
want to I of solutions exactly. I want to touch upon a lot of stories here in New York and across the country about caseworkers.
Mm. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Um and I always like fill us in because here in New York it's always like we don't have enough. We usually hear about them when some tragedy has happened
Mhm.
to a child, after the fact. They are exhausted. Why isn't there a tremendous, there's still a very personal, we can talk about all the tech we want, and tech is needed, right? And tech will solve so much of this,
Lot.
but you
Yeah.
still, people need people kind of, the personal touch, right?
Yeah. And the
What,
tech is
where,
really just a jumping off point for the case and social workers
well, what are
to
we doing
help
about that?
them.
Why aren't
So
we
here's
having job fairs or young people where we're faced with AI and we keep saying everything's getting replaced and you won't have jobs and all these scare tactics? I don't think you can actually replace an actual person with
no,
a
you can't.
child to talk.
No.
So why aren't we building up like there's exciting opportunities and something like that?
So even more than that. So again, people maybe or maybe wouldn't figure this out unless you're talking to families. And so we had a family, the Sanchez family, and it's part of our bridge program, which we didn't really even talk about, but it's helping shepherd families through the process. So if they hit a brick wall, don't get called back, we don't lose that family because the system will tell you, oh, we don't have enough families. Probably true, but you're also losing the families you have because your caseworkers and your social workers are overworked, underpaid, burnt out. So families are having a very bad experience, the ones who want it, and so we have to improve that. And there is a family, the Sanchez family, and this is when I was like, wait, and I wouldn't have known this if I didn't talk to them. So they were on their fourth agency. They had wanted an older youth for their son Daniel to have a big a brother. Sorry, not a big brother, a brother. And they were open to any race, and then they even opened it up to girl or boy. So older youth, which will tell you is hardest to place. Boys are harder than girls to place. Black boys are the hardest. And this family, here's a family who's willing, and they're a great family, willing to adopt any race, boy or girl, fine. 4 years in, they'd been introduced to one child. Again, it's almost not a believable thing, but I witnesses. So
One.
we got them linked to a new agency. This is now their fourth agency they've gone through, and they're a wonderful family. So this is not a reflection on the family. And it wasn't until they came back. So the agency's like, oh, you have to do the 24 hours of training. I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. Wait, they just did the training. The system failed them. Why do they have to train another? They've already been through 3 trainings for 24 hours each. Why would
Yeah.
they need to when the systems? So we got it negotiated down to 11 hours. So they go to their first training. I do the follow-up call. Here's the point. Follow-up call. How did the training go? And they say, oh, well, this training was so much better than so-and-so because this was focused on this person. I said, wait. You're telling me the training for families and same for caseworkers isn't standardized? Like we don't have training modules that have been sort of proven. No. So
Vetted and
not only
approved
every
and all that.
state, every county, everyone's doing their own thing. There
Yeah.
might be some broad base things they have to do, but everybody's doing their version. I'm like, talk about inefficient. So again, when you go back to tech and coding and standardization, if the people designing this don't understand that it's not standardized and at what level, then you're
Yeah.
not building the right solution. So this grassroots knowledge is really critical to getting the right solution. And I want to say one more thing about caseworkers, because this is super important. There's a statistic that if a child has more than one caseworker, children have multiple caseworkers because caseworkers quit. They're not paid, they're burnt out. Their caseloads will be 30 when it should be 10 to 12. And if a child has one caseworker, they have a 74% successful placement rate. When they have a second caseworker from turnover, it drops to a 17% chance of a successful placement. And with a
Wow.
third caseworker, it drops to 5%. Meaning, if we don't fix what's happening for caseworkers and retain them so that we're actually impacting the outcomes for the children.
Yeah.
Again, who's going to catch that? Like, this stuff is not in a book somewhere. The grassroots knowledge has to be part of the tech component of this.
Yeah. And we have
Sorry,
to
I might
pay.
be too deep in the weeds for
No,
everybody.
no, but people, because I'm always reading about caseworkers, and I'm always, and they'll always say, my caseload, I don't get paid enough money, or this place offered me a little more
Yeah,
money. I hate to leave my, cases, but I don't leave. I just leave. And so that's
yeah.
exactly what you're saying. What's that? Well, I mean, I could talk to you all day, and we will. So promise me you're going to come back, because this
Oh,
is very, I'm going to say it's complex, although simple. I'm throwing it all in because
okay.
you have the solutions, right? We need to keep talking about and educate. We didn't touch upon a lot of things, but I want you to leave our warriors listening and watching us. What would be some final words for today? But really, Leah, I want you, like, maybe monthly we can get together and keep
Yeah, I would
talking and
love it. I
updating
would
the
love it.
public,
Thank you.
because there's new
Yeah.
information we're going to be
Yeah.
coming upon, and things coming out of Washington, and we're going to be just taking over Washington, or something like that.
Yeah.
And
And thanks you for being a warrior
exactly.
for these kids.
We have to, because if it's not us, who is
Hmm.
it?
I
Seriously,
know.
if we
Yeah.
don't do it, or help people understand
Hmm.
what it is, right? Because not everybody could be you or me. They just can't do it, but they can help. They can volunteer. They can donate. They can tell everybody about what you do. Perhaps get a child, even
Well,
into a safe home. Like, it's all
yep.
connected. So we have to talk about these things. It can never just be like one conversation and we're done. We have to constantly, in my opinion, have follow up and keep on top of it. But right now, today, because this is all new for a lot of people, because I have to tell you, not a lot of people talk about anything you're talking about. They just don't. Okay. People usually
Yep.
hear foster care, child services, and they go ew, or like something. The reaction is
Right.
always not good. I want the reaction to be like when I see you, because you have solutions, right? And you're smiling and you're happy and you're sharing and collaborative. What would you tell our warriors for today? Like, one thing maybe they should focus on, look at right now, anything you want.
I think getting educated, and I'm not trying to make a plug for like our website or our social media following or anything, but here's the thing: when we run our national, not even now, the pilot program and then the national awareness and recruitment campaign, part of that campaign is asking everyone, engaging and mobilizing people to share with their
Yes.
networks, because you don't have to be the one to adopt. So in Philadelphia region, for as an example, and you can apply this across the country. So there's about 2,300 children we've identified that need to be adopted. Okay, that's doable. I go to an Eagles game, there's 70,000 people in the state. Like, we can do this if communities rally, get engaged and mobilized around
Yes.
sharing with their networks. So the way to do that is stay tied to us, so
Yes.
that when we do one, you can start educating people. But when we go to run our campaign, by sharing with your network, not everyone has to adopt. Not everyone has to
Right.
be a permanent home, but everyone has their country club, their work environment, their church, their synagogue, their mosque, their everyone has their mom's group. So when it comes time to recruit more families, if everyone puts the word out, we can get this done together. And that's going to be a huge need, that grassroots push when it's time. So right now what
Yeah.
people can do is start educating. I'm not trying to push for or increase the following or anything like that, but that is
Well,
where
why do
you're
you
going to
say, wait a
learn
minute,
when the
why do you
campaign
say
launches.
that? I have you on
No,
today so we can
I'm
increase your
joking.
following so people can know about you. You're being
Thank you.
very humble. I mean, I'm going
Yeah,
to put all your information, including all the way back
thank
to
you.
like when you were a little girl, like in the body of the video, so people can take their time with the links and look at things and let it absorb, other than I'm rattling off the website, right? halfamillionkids.org. No, I always in the body of videos put a lot of information.
Thank you.
Um, because I really want them to take their time. Or if they can't, sometimes they go back and forth. They tell me to read things. They can't do it all at once. It's so unsettling sometimes for them. But
No,
why
it
do you
is.
say
But
that? Like we want everybody to follow you. That's why I have you
no,
here today.
I
Come
just
on.
don't want people to think I'm trying to build our following. We're trying to get everybody connected because you can make a difference. You can make
Yes.
a real difference. And it's going to be really important when we launch the campaign that we can
Yes.
mobilize everyone. So
It
it is
will.
important from that standpoint. I know we're in an era where everyone's building the influencers and social media, and that's like not our gig. We're like, but we need people to
I don't
stay
like that word
aware.
influencer. I don't.
I know, me,
It's a word I've never used, and I think it's
yeah,
annoying. Totally. Okay.
yeah,
We're just
yeah. I'm okay.
warriors. You're a warrior.
Yeah.
We're warriors.
Thanks.
Our
Thank
hashtag
you.
here is community creates change. So
Yeah,
that's what we
that's
want to
it.
do. Everything that
Yeah.
you just described is when there is a take action, a call to take action,
Yeah.
that we mobilize the
Yeah.
community to get everybody. In the meantime, as you pointed out, education is key. And I think
Yeah.
today you laid out some facts, even I'm shocked by, kind of thing, that is unacceptable. And I think everybody else finds them unacceptable as well. Again,
And
halfamillionkids.org. We got to
thank
talk
you.
more. I mean, I want to say
And
to you,
thank you.
no, but Leah, I mean, really, thank you for your courage. And I say
Mm,
courage because none of this is easy, but thank you for your passion. And this
mm,
blueprint. What could be better
mm.
than moving kids into like a safe environment, putting a roof over their heads, or getting some love, right? Getting them
Yeah.
like, to me, there's nothing more important than any of that. And I want everybody to learn about half a million kids
Yeah.
and to have
And
the facts.
if thank you, first of all, for saying all those wonderful
Of
things.
course.
If people are in a position to donate, we also, it takes a village. So people who are in a position to donate, that's also very helpful and can be done on our website. So that
No,
helps the
I'll
cause
put
quite a
I'll
bit.
put the donate link in there, but that's the thing, because people say to me, I can't do anything. I don't want to think about it, but I can donate some money. I'm like, money's always welcome. It's
Yeah.
always, so
Yeah.
like that's good enough, it's $1 or $1 million.
Yeah.
Anything's good, but we appreciate just everybody getting involved now. We really have to open the floodgates to this foster care system, to all of this, and I'm going to do my best to help you whatever I can do
Thank
and
you,
keep
Lynn.
talking about it,
Thank you.
and just harassing you and asking you a lot of facts and things like that,
Thank you.
because again, it's
I'm so
unacceptable.
glad. I'm so glad we walked into the through
Ladies room.
security at the White House at the
Oh
same
yeah.
time. That's when I first met you at security,
Oh yeah, I had to
and
take
we
my
realized
shoes
we were
off.
both
You think by
there
now
for
they'd
the
leave,
whole.
leave my shoes on? They let me keep my shoes on in that place,
Yeah, no,
right?
I'm so glad we met. That our timing was. I mean, that's again for me. That's God,
I
just
think that
divine
actually
stuff.
means something. And it's funny, when I saw you that day, I was like, I bet you're going to where I'm going. I like just thought that. I
That's what
remember
I
when
thought too.
I
Yeah,
thought, and then you started talking to me, because then if somebody starts kind of, then I'll start talking, or I kind of otherwise keep to myself. But you're just absolutely doing, I'm just going to say it, God's work. You are an incredible warrior. And I want to thank you from all of us here at Lynn's Warriors for being that warrior, for speaking up for our precious kids, and promise me you will return and we will speak again soon.
well, I thank you. It's an honor. Thank you so much for creating the platform for this information to get out there. Thank you.
Thanks, Leah.
Okay. Bye.